Hi everybody, my name is Roberto Ibarra and I'm gonna share with you one case study. This car right here, this car was trapped or shot with a non-running condition. Car doesn't start. Somebody replaced timing chain, tensioner, and some other parts of this vehicle, and it was running before. But now it's not running. What happened? Well, we don't know, right? They don't know. They want us to check it why it doesn't start. So we're gonna use some of the tools to identify the problem of this vehicle over here, and I'm gonna share with you the process how we came out with the solution for this vehicle, right? So let's start. Okay guys, so next I connect the scan tool into the vehicle to see if there's any information or data that is something we can use, right? So I wanted to see the fuel pressure on this vehicle when we are cranking the vehicle, and we check for codes and there's no codes, but I wanted to see the fuel pressure. So I'm gonna crank the vehicle. Right now the ignition is on. As you can see, the fuel pressure is this is the set point, which is the one that the computer is commanding, and this is the fuel pressure, the actual fuel pressure inside the fuel rail. So let me crank over the vehicle, the car, and you can see what happened with the pressure. Okay, as you can see, the change on the pressure, the set point went up, same with the pressure, actual pressure inside the fuel rail. So that means the fuel pressure is fine on this vehicle. The fuel pump was removed when these guys did the work on this car, and the pump was removed and it was put back and it's fine. The pressure is fine. So this car is not starting, not because it doesn't have fuel, right? I mean, at least we know it has fuel pressure. But let's see some other data that is important for us. So next, we're gonna see some waveforms from these cam and crankshaft position sensors. Remember, the work that was done on this engine was the timing chain, tensioners, and I believe they replaced the pistons and rings. So we're gonna check some waveforms from the crank and cam sensors to see if we see some information that can help us to see if the correlation is normal and things like that, right? So, but before we go run into the sensors and connect the scope, let's see how we're gonna get that information. Well, I put already the diagram for this vehicle, and this car has two crankshaft sensors. It has one on the exhaust and one on the intake side. And we have only one crankshaft position sensor, which is two-wire sensor, it has a reluctor over here with the coil, and it has two wires, right? So we're gonna hook up our scope on this signal. This is the signal wire on this crankshaft sensor, and this is the other signal wire on this crankshaft sensor. And we're gonna connect the crank in any of these wires. Remember, we're gonna get signal from any of these wires if the sensor is working, right? So let's go to the vehicle and then continue. Okay guys, so let me show you where the sensors are. So we have the exhaust crankshaft sensor over here, and then we have the intake crankshaft sensor on this side. And we have our crankshaft sensor is behind the pulley, but we have a connector over here. Just below this hose, we have the connector for this, for the crankshaft sensor. So we're gonna use this connector over here, as you can see, over here. See, so you can see right here, this is the connector for the crankshaft. So we're gonna back probe this sensor, and we're gonna connect the cams into the scope and see what happens. Okay, guys? Okay, guys. Now that we already connect the scope, I have 2 channels on the camshaft sensors and 1 channel on the crank. And this is the ground for the scope. Now we're gonna set up the scope to record the data when we crank the engine and see what we see, okay? So I have 3 channels, channel 2, 3, and 4 channel, and I'm gonna record whatever happens when we crank the engine. So I'm gonna go ahead and crank the engine, and I'm gonna record the data that we see on the screen. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna stop this recording and let's see what we see on this screen, on this moment that I cranked the engine. You notice it wanted to like kind of start the car, but it didn't pick up, right? So let's see what happened. So this is my 2 camshafts and my crankshaft. So I'm gonna zoom in. Over here, and there's something weird over here. So I have my channel for my crankshaft sensor is the red channel. I'm gonna take it out, and I have my camshafts that they look kind of normal. Those are my cams. This is my exhaust and my intake cam. They look pretty steady. And let's see the crank. This is my crankshaft, right? This is the one we're gonna pay attention right now. So this is my crankshaft, and right away I can see there is some issues right here. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like this. This is peak to peak, and this signal right here, something's missing. And you can see is constant. See, this is peak to peak over here, and right here we have this missing portion. And let's see why that's happening. Well, it looks like something happened on the reluctor or the crankshaft sensor, right? Because it's missing right here. Something is missing right there. So let's explain how the crankshaft sensor works, so we can understand a little bit what happened over here, or what's happening over here, okay? Okay, guys, so now let's see how the crankshaft sensor works. We have a 2-wire sensor on this case, and we have a AC voltage generator, right? And this is the reluctor of the sensor on the engine, which is part of the crankshaft, which is connected to the crankshaft. And as you can see, every time this piece of metal passes through the sensor, we generate voltage, right? We generate an AC voltage. If this metal is far away from the sensor, we also generate voltage, but not the same. It's less voltage, right? Right here. See, we generate voltage, but it's less than if I'm closer to my sensor, right? So basically, most likely that's what's happening on that case, right? So leave it right there, and we're gonna see why that's happening on this engine, okay? Okay, guys, As you can see, something is missing on that crankshaft, right? Cams are fine, signal looks okay. Well, at least we have signal. We don't know if it's okay or not because we don't have a reference signal yet, right? But looking at that crankshaft sensor signal, we can tell that there is something missing in there, right? So as we saw on the picture before, the crankshaft has a teeth around, right? So we have the teeth around the crank, all those teeth around the crank. And this one's supposed to have, the count on this one is, I believe 57, 58, not sure, but we know that the reference signal for this crankshaft sensor for the computer to know where's the number one, we know it's gonna have a missing tooth, right? So whenever we have the missing tooth over here, the sensor is gonna send the signal to the PCM, and this is gonna be the reference signal, the missing tooth, right? So we have tooth all around the crank, 58 teeth, and the missing tooth is gonna be the reference signal. Now we have some missing teeth, right? Not just one. So we have the reference and we have another one which is missing. So the computer is confused. Computer doesn't know which one is number one because it has two spots where the tooth is missing. So we're gonna take some closer look, see if we can see inside the crankshaft reluctor and see if we're able to identify what is missing. Okay? Okay guys, so now we're gonna see what we see inside the crankshaft reluctor on this engine. So we're gonna ask one of our guys to turn the engine, and we're gonna put a camera inside the hole for the crankshaft sensor, and then we're gonna turn the engine. Okay, let's turn a little by little and see if we see something weird on this reluctor. As you can see, the crank reluctor is moving. We're turning the engine. See, we can see the teeth inside the engine rotating. See, is rotating. And what we see right there is the teeth that are connected to the crankshaft. Is the reluctor, which is attached to the crankshaft. More, yeah. So let's turn it and see if we can see something broken. Right there, that space we just passed was the number one cylinder. More, that was the number one cylinder. The one we just passed, that was a missing teeth, like one missing teeth, so that was the number one cylinder. As we continue to rotate, we can see the rest of the teeth, and so far we have the teeth are complete, right? So keep rotating. As we can see all the teeth. They are there complete. See, we can see all the teeth. That's what the computer is picking up. The scene is picking up right there. Right there before, just before the number one, there was a spot that we noticed that it is the teeth. They have like a hit, like something hit on the teeth. We're gonna continue the rotation, and it's gonna right there. See, right there we stop. Right there we stop, and what we notice is this. Okay guys, so if you notice the crankshaft, when we were recording with the camera, we can see that the tooth was missing on that's the reference signal for the computer for number one. You didn't notice on the video, but when we check this crankshaft slowly, we notice like just before the number one signature, like 5 or 6 teeth before number one, we notice that the teeth were smashed. It's hard to see it from the outside, but once you pay attention, you can see and we can notice that those teeth have some damage on it. So that's what happens. The computer doesn't know which one is number one. The computer doesn't start the car, right? So I'm gonna give you just another tip. The last tip before we finish, okay? Okay guys, now we already disconnect the scope, the car is, everything is hooked up. I mean, something is not hooked up, I'll tell you why. Now we're gonna try the car. Let's start this car and see what happens. Let's crank it over. Car is running. Car is running. How come? Let me turn it off. So this vehicle is waiting for the signal from the crankshaft, intake crankshaft sensor, and exhaust crankshaft sensor, right? Some vehicles, they can start with one of those signals missing. I won't tell you which ones, but sometimes we can do a simple test just to see if the timing is fine, the timing marks are correct, or the car is out of timing, right? So you disconnect one of those sensors. The computer doesn't know where is the number one, for any reason, for the crankshaft or the crankshaft position sensor, right? On this case, we disconnect the crankshaft position sensor. Remember, the crankshaft sensor is the one that is damaged, right? The relator is damaged. So now the computer doesn't know which one is number one at all. What the computer does in this case, it relies on the crankshaft position sensor to start the car. And now you can start the car. Doesn't mean it's fixed, right? The car is not fixed. But at least you know that mechanically, the timing, compression, fuel system, everything is okay at this point. But of course, we still have the problem with the crankshaft relator. This is a tip for you guys and hope you enjoy it. See you next time.